Hey there, you're watching this very closely. It's now worked its way off the Cuban coastline, but you see a lot of that convection still extending back over Cuba all the way down into the Caribbean. The center of circulation sitting right up in this area here, so starting to see more and more of that weather working its way over the Keys. And already we've seen a few of these outer bands, some of the cells working their way off of it, causing some weather across South Florida. We've had some tornado warnings down to our south, so that's the kind of thing that we're going to be starting to see as we go into the afternoon and we start to see some of these cells working their way up to us. It's always that threat of those isolated tornadoes. Right now, winds, they are at 60 miles an hour. It's moving to the north-northwest at 12 miles an hour. You look at the overall presentation, and this still is not a well-organized system. There's a lot of dry air, especially on that western side. The wind shear is starting to pick up over this system. So there's still time that this will intensify, but because of the wind shear and the dry air, it's going to tend to limit what it can do. But still, computer models insisting that it will intensify, and this could get pretty close to a hurricane, if not a hurricane, before making landfall. The other thing you notice, and it's really just minor changes here and there, track may be shifting a little bit closer to us at this point. A little change, 15, 20 miles, doesn't really make a big difference, especially because we're still talking about all that weather on that eastern side of the storm. So we're still getting all that weather, regardless of whether it nudges one way or the other. It maybe just nudges a little bit more of the wind onshore. But you can see as we get into 2 o'clock this afternoon, sitting down to our south, but still we're going to start to see that weather moving in as we head through the afternoon. As those squalls come through, that's where you're going to really notice those winds really pick up inside those squalls. Once they move by, the winds will settle down, another squall comes through, and that will be what we see as we go through the afternoon. And also inside to some of those, that could be where we see some of those tornadoes or tornado warnings, at least, as we go through the afternoon. Then through the overnight hours, here we are at 2 o'clock in the morning, sitting pretty much right at our latitude and then working its way to the north. As it works its way to the north, that's when those winds switch around and that threat of the storm surge will really start to pick up. Heavy rain, isolated tornadoes on that eastern side, right where we are. We're going to see these winds 30 to 40 miles an hour sustained with a gust close to 70 miles an hour. And then that storm surge, that will be after midnight as the storm starts to push to our north and the winds swing around and we get into those high tide cycles. That will really help to exacerbate some of that flooding. So right now, Sky Tower radar looking down to our south. You're seeing more and more of that stronger convection working its way across the Keys. You can see some of those cells up towards the lake. That's where we've already seen a tornado warning or two down to our south, but some of these cells will start to work their way into the southern portions of our viewing area. So things are quiet right now. If you have any last-minute things that you got to do, you saw that story just a minute ago about securing any outdoor items, the sandbags, you still have time for that. And that's the two threats that we're talking about right now. It's just some of these items being blown around, and then with the heavy rainfall, 3 to 5 inches of rain, we could see upwards of 8 inches of rain. So if you're in one of those flood-prone areas, that is certainly one of those things that you have to be concerned about. So as we go through this afternoon, we're going to start to look down to our south. That's where things will start first. Inside those rain bands, you get some of those stronger wind gusts as well throughout the afternoon hours. And then the storm will continue to work its way to the north. There you see the center of circulation. So this is by midnight where a lot of us will be dealing with that very heavy rain, at times just torrential rain coming down. And then as it moves to the north, notice the winds switching around more towards that south and eventually southwesterly direction, driving some of that water right back up into the bay. As far as rainfall totals, you can see, especially along the coastline, 3 to 5 inches of rain, very common. And then we're going to have some of these isolated areas upwards 8 to 10 inches of rain as well. As we go through this afternoon, you notice those winds starting to pick up down to our south. By 3 o'clock in the morning, these are wind gusts. We are talking about wind gusts into the tropical storm force down towards Sarasota, 55 miles an hour. Not exact numbers here, but you get that idea, the time frame of when we're going to start to really see some of the worst first portions of this, and then by tomorrow, improving conditions as those winds switch around towards the southwest. By tomorrow afternoon and evening, we're getting back to at least some sun and the winds starting to settle back down. We've got the tropical storm warnings all along the coastline, and then that storm surge. Remember, notice as those winds switch around, that will drive that water right back along the coastline. That's when we expect that surge of 3 to 5 feet, really inundating a lot of these low-lying areas. So forecast for today, increasing winds, rain arriving from our south. As the rain arrives, those winds will really start to pick up as well. Daytime high of 87 degrees. Then for tonight, windy, rain squalls working their way through. Overnight low of 76. For tomorrow, rain and wind in the morning, and then we'll see that improvement as we go through the afternoon hours. Daytime high back up into the upper 80s. Winds are out of the east at 20 to 40 knots, seas 9 to 11 feet with rough bay waters. Just don't even think about going out on the water as we go through today. High tide comes up at 11:38 this morning. Here's your 7-day forecast. Daytime highs in the upper 80s. Rain chances, they'll settle back down, and actually some pretty nice looking weather once we get into the latter part of the week and heading into the weekend.